Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. The afternoon in Genoa City carried a strange tension, as if the entire city was holding its breath. Inside Philly's summer's empty office, the silence felt heavier than usual. The normally vibrant space seemed abandoned, the absence of its fiery owner making everything feel colder. The door opened quietly. Kane Ashby stepped inside. For a moment he simply stood there, looking around the room. The memories of countless confrontations, alliances, and arguments seemed to linger in the air. He walked slowly to the desk and sat down. Kane pulled out a pen and a small notepad. He stared at the paper for several seconds before finally writing. Phillies. Stopped by hopping we could talk. I'm still hopping you'll give me a little slack, maybe even work with Victor to release Lily and my kids. He paused, gripping the pen tightly. I know I've made mistakes, I just want my family back. Kane exhaled deeply. Then he added one final line. I'm still working on Daniel. He looked at the note again. Something about it felt wrong. Hopeless. Suddenly, frustration surged through him. Kane crumpled the paper into a tight ball and threw it across the room. He stood up and began packing. I miss them, he muttered to himself. His voice cracked. I miss Lily, I miss my kids. He stopped near the window, staring out at the city. This isn't what I want. His jaw clenched. Where are they, Victor? He whispered bitterly. What have you done with them? The silence answered him. Kane rubbed his face with both hands. Then an idea came to him. He pulled out his phone. If he couldn't talk to Lily directly, maybe he could leave her something. He opened the camera and began recordings. For a moment, he struggled to speak. Then the words finally came. Hey, Lily. His voice was soft, emotional. I don't even know if you'll see this, but I had to try. He swallowed hard. I hope Victor is treating you and the kids right. The thought clearly pained him. I never wanted things to turn out like this. Everything I did, I thought I was protecting my family. Kane's eyes grew wet. But somewhere along the way, I lost my way. He forced a weak smile. I just want you to know something. His voice dropped. I love you. A long pause followed. And I finally understand something now. He took a shaky breath. The best thing I can do for you is stay out of your life. Kane stared into the camera one last time before ending the recording. He looked at the video silently for several seconds. Then he saved it. But the emptiness in his chest remained. Across town, the Newman ranch stood under the fatting afternoon sunlight. Inside the living room, Newman paced impatiently. Her phone was still in her hand. She had tried calling Victor several times. No answer. Her frustration was reaching its limit. Where are you, Victor? She muttered. Just then, the front door opened. Victor Newman walked in as if nothing in the world was wrong. Nikki turned toward him immediately. Her eyes burned with anger. Victor barely looked surprised. I take it you're upset, he said calmly. Nikki let out a sharp laugh. Upset. As she stepped closer. I don't know if I will ever be able to forgive you for what you've done. Victor remained perfectly composed. What exactly have I done now? He asked coolly. Nikki stared at him in disbelief. Don't play games with me. Her voice rose. Where is Jack Abbott? Victor adjusted his jacket. He's fine. That was all he said. Nikki's eyes widened. That's your answer, she snapped. He's fine. As she stepped closer. Who is he with, Victor? Victor's expression didn't change. He's in good hands. Nikki's anger exploded. Good hands. Her voice echoed through the room. You kidnapped him. Victor didn't deny it. Yes, he said calmly. Nikki was stunned by the blunt admission. Where is he? She demanded. What have you done to him? Victor folded his arms. You worry too much. Nikki's voice shook with fury. You kidnapped a man, Victor. Victor's gaze hardened. I did what needed to be done. Nikki stared at him in disbelief. You've gone too far this time. Victor said nothing, and that silence said everything. Oh. Meanwhile, far from shore, the water stretched endlessly under the darkening sky. A luxury yacht floated quietly in the middle of the lake. On board, Jack Abbott walked slowly across the deck. His expression was tense. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Behind him, Patty Williams twirled happily as if she were on vacation. Isn't this wonderful? She said cheerfully. Jack turned toward her. This is not wonderful. He looked out toward the distant horizon. We're too far from shore to even see the lights. He turned back toward her. There's no crew. He gestured around the yacht. No radio, no communications. Patty didn't seem concerned at all. In fact, she looked delighted. Oh, Jack, she laughed. Think of it as a digital detox. Jack stared at her. Digital detox. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. The man who brought us here left. Yes, Patty said casually. He took the tender boat. Jack blinked. And he's coming back when? Patty shrugged. In a couple days. Jack froze. A couple days. Patty nodded happily. Jack's voice rose. What about me? He gestured toward the empty water. Am I just supposed to sit here on this death ship and wait? Patty giggled. Jack looked like he was about to explode. Back on land, a car sat parked outside the marina office. Inside were Billy Abbott, Kyle Abbott, and Diane Jenkins. They had been waiting for what felt like forever. Billy looked toward the dark office building. No one's here. Kyle checked his phone. This doesn't make any sense. Diane sat in the back seat. Her face was pale with worry. If Jack is hurt, she said quietly. Her voice hardened. I will destroy everyone responsible. Billy looked back at her. That won't happen. But even he didn't sound convinced. Suddenly, Diane looked toward the water. Her eyes widened. He's close. Kyle frowned. Oh, what? I can feel it, Diane whispered. Billy exchanged a look with Kyle. Then the office lights suddenly turned on. Billy's eyes lit up. Finally, he jumped out of the car. Kyle started to follow but stopped. He looked at his phone again. Maybe I should call Summer, he muttered. She might be able to get through to Victor. Behind him, Diane stepped out of the car. Her composure suddenly shattered. We have to find Jack, she said, her voice breaking. Tears filled her eyes. We have to find him. Back on the yacht, the situation was becoming stranger by the minute. Patty walked into the bedroom area and pressed down on the mattress. Nice and firm, she said approvingly. Jack followed her in, still ranting. Our supplies won't last long. He opened a cabinet. If we run out of food or water. Patty waved a hand dismissively. Oh, Jack, don't be so dramatic. Jack glared at her. Patty suddenly stepped closer. Then she gently grabbed his hands. Before Jack could react, she pressed them against her face. Jack froze. Patty smiled softly. You're still so handsome. Jack blinked in confusion. You're more beautiful than ever, he muttered strangely. Patty's smile widened. She poured them both another drink. To adventure, she said. Jack drank. The room seemed to spin slightly. Something was wrong, but he couldn't quite figure out what. Patty turned on some soft music. Then she picked up an ice cube from the bucket. Slowly, seductively, she let it slide between her lips. Jack stared at her in a daze. His tie suddenly felt too tight. He loosened it. Something was definitely wrong. But his thoughts were becoming foggy. And Patty watched him carefully. Very carefully. Night was slowly falling over the lake, and the yacht drifted gently on the dark water like a ghost ship. Inside the cabin, the music Patty had turned on filled the quiet space with a slow, seductive rhythm. Jack Abbott leaned against the small table, trying to steady himself. Something wasn't right. His head felt light. His thoughts moved slower than usual. Across the room, Patty Williams watched him carefully. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "You look tense," she said softly. Jack rubbed his forehead. "I feel strange." Patty tilted her head, pretending to be concerned. "Maybe you just need to relax." As she stepped closer, Jack tried to focus. "You said someone would come back in a couple days." Patty nodded casually. "Oh, yes." Jack frowned. "So we're just stuck here." Patty smiled. "Just the two of us." Jack shook his head, trying to clear the fog from his mind. "This isn't funny." Patty walked to the small bar and poured another drink. "You worry too much." She handed the glass to him. Jack hesitated, but then he drank it anyway. The warmth of the alcohol spread quickly through his body. Patty slowly turned the music up a little louder. Soft jazz filled the cabin. She moved closer again. "You know," she said quietly, "we never really had a chance." Jack looked at her, confused. "What are you talking about?" Patty sat beside him on the edge of the bed. "Oh, us?" Jack blinked. Patty." But his voice lacked strength. His thoughts were slipping. Patty studied his face. "You always chose Diane," she continued. Jack leaned back slightly. "This isn't appropriate." Patty laughed softly. "Oh, Jack." As she leaned closer. "You're adorable when you try to be responsible." Jack stood up quickly, though the movement made him dizzy. "You should go back to your room." Patty remained seated. "Why?" Jack sighed. "Because this situation is already insane." Patty stood up slowly. Then she walked toward him. "What if we just enjoy it?" Jack frowned. "Enjoy what?" Patty smiled mischievously. "Our little adventure." She reached toward the music player again and changed the track. A slower song began to play. Jack felt the room spin slightly. Patty picked up another ice cube. As she held it between her fingers. Then she slowly ran it along her neck. Jack stared at her. His brain told him something was wrong. But the signal was faint. Patty noticed the confusion in his eyes. As she stepped closer. "You don't have to fight it." Jack shook his head weakly. "This is ridiculous." Patty laughed softly. "Strip poker," she suggested playfully. Jack groaned. "Oh, enough." Patty ignored the protest. She gently took his hand. Jack tried to pull away, but his coordination was failing. Patty led him toward the bed. "Just relax." Jack sat down heavily. His thoughts were completely scattered now. Patty lay down beside him and rolled onto her side, watching him closely. "You know something funny," she said. Jack looked at her blankly. "Oh, what?" Patty smiled. "You're actually looking at me the way you used to." Jack blinked slowly. "I am." Patty nodded. "Oh, yes." As she leaned closer, Jack stared at her face. His expression softened. "You do look beautiful," he murmured. Patty's eyes lit up with satisfaction. She leaned in and kissed him gently. Jack didn't respond at first. Then slowly, he kissed her back. Back on land, the tension at the marina was reaching a boiling point. Billy stepped out of the office building with a grim expression. Kyle and Diane immediately looked at him. "Well," Kyle asked. Billy rubbed the back of his neck. "The manager said a woman rented a yacht." Diane stepped closer. "What woman?" Billy hesitated. "She asked for the boat to stay out on the lake for 2 days." Diane's face went pale. 2 days." Billy nodded. Kyle frowned. "Did she give a name?" Billy looked uncomfortable. "Oh, yes." Diane's voice trembled. Who?" Billy exhaled slowly. Patty Williams. The name hit Diane like a lightning bolt. Her eyes widened in horror. No. Billy nodded grimly. Oh yeah. Kyle looked equally stunned. That's not good. Diane grabbed Billy's arm. We have to get out there now. Billy nodded. As soon as they prep a boat. He pointed toward the dock. But the lake is rough tonight. Diane didn't care. I don't care if it's a hurricane, she said fiercely. We're going. Kyle looked toward the dark waters. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Oh, back at the Newman ranch, the argument between Nikki and Victor had reached its final moments. Nikki stood in the center of the room, furious. You've gone too far this time, Victor. Victor remained calm. Your precious Jack Abbott is perfectly fine. Nikki crossed her arms. Oh, you kidnapped him. Victor's voice turned cold. He's not alone. Nikki's eyes narrowed. What does that mean? Victor smirked slightly. Unless, of course. He paused. You're jealous. Nikki stared at him in disbelief. Victor waved his hand casually. Good night, Nikki. And with that, he walked out the doors, leaving Nikki standing there in stunned silence. Meanwhile, back in Philly's empty office, Kane sat alone in the darkness. He replayed the video he had recorded for Lily. Her face appeared on the screen as he imagined her watching it. His chest tightened. Then he pressed the send button. The message was gone. A long silence followed. Kane suddenly stood up. The emotions he had been holding inside exploded. He let out a raw, primal scream that echoed through the empty office. Then he grabbed his jacket and stormed out. Far out on the lake, the yacht rocked gently with the growing wind. Inside the cabin, Patty lay beside Jack. Her hand traced slowly along his arm. Jack tried to sit up. Patty, this is wrong. Patty smiled softly. No one will know. Jack rubbed his face. Oh, Diane. Patty leaned closer. Diane isn't here. She whispered into his ear. It's just the two of us. Jack's resistance weakened. Patty kissed him again. This time he didn't stop her. Slowly, Jack pulled Patty closer. She shifted on top of him, smiling triumphantly. Outside, the dark lake stretched endlessly around the isolated yacht. And somewhere in the distance, a rescue boat was preparing to launch. But it might already be too late.